All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Welcome back to another episode of Reignite Resilience. I am your co-host, Natalie Davis, and I am so excited to be back with you all. And joining me is the fabulous Pam Cass. Hello, Pam. How are you?
I am fabulous. I shared with you before we started recording that I hired an organizer.
This is huge.
It's huge. So, and it's for my storage room that has I don't know, it's almost got like a life of its own. And when you're too afraid to enter it anymore, there comes a time when you need to probably get some help. And it was one of those things that I knew it was like, yeah, I could do it, but it's not something I want to do. And so I'm always about delegate it, let somebody else. And the universe spoke. I had coffee with a client and she goes, "Oh, I got to tell you about my organizer." And I'm like, "What?" And then there it is. And she started today. And so
yes,
I'm on my way to being able to step foot in my storage room again.
Do you feel lighter? Do you feel
I feel lighter, and she hasn't hardly even done anything. So I just knowing that she's going to start helping me.
Yes.
I mean, talk about adversity when you have a storage room filled with like your parents' stuff, your kids' stuff that have moved out, and work stuff from when I moved out of my office, and you name it. And I was like, I need to purge and let go. And
I still have those things. I am in that same season. I haven't ordered, I haven't hired an organizer to help me do it. Maybe that'll be the next step, but I've definitely come to this chapter in life that if I make it through an entire season without using something, then I don't need it and it's done. It's gone. So I'm donating all of those things.
I love it. And her philosophy is she goes, I will pull stuff out. And she goes, I want you to look at it. And if it doesn't bring you joy, we get rid of it. And that's her whole motto. If it doesn't bring you joy, then let it go.
I love that.
So that's what we're going to do. She'll have time for me to sit with her and go through stuff. And if it doesn't bring me joy, I'm just like, see ya.
Listen, oh my gosh. Well, be prepared to be emotional.
I know. I'll bring the tissues.
Well, we have a special guest joining us today, sort of a last minute addition to our guest lineup for our series of guests that we've had on the last couple of weeks. And I'm excited about it. A friend of mine who's coming on, she's got a fabulous story to share. She's lived life. Let me just say that. So we were out at a jewelry show yesterday and just happened to start talking about the podcast world and the podcast life. And I said, well, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's make this happen. And so she said, yes, y'all. I don't know. Whatever power I have, she said, okay. And she's joining us. So today we have Karrie Christen that is joining us, and we are so excited to have you, Karrie. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, ladies. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome. Yeah, it was a total surprise. I love that you're talking about organizing right now too, because that's kind of been my little thing I've been doing. You should see the stuff I've gotten rid of. I got rid of all of my dishes because I found pretty dishes.
Oh, good on you.
And they were tiny. They're just meant for me to eat on. I don't eat a lot of food. They're these tiny little pretty dishes, and I bought these beautiful pink ornate cups that go with them. And
I love that. Okay, so we're just going to talk flatware here for a moment. No, we're going to talk. Yeah, that's right. So the thing is, I have the big 10.5 plates, I think are massive. And that's not necessarily what I love. And I've had in my basket smaller plates, and I just, not like dessert plates, they're just smaller plates. And I keep thinking, these are what I want. Like, this is the size of a meal that I eat. I do girl dinner a lot. And you don't need a lot of space for girl dinner.
No. Love
Good
it.
for you. Well, Karrie, welcome to the show. I am actually
Thank
going to
you.
just toss it over to you. Why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about who you are? And then we will start to dive in because there are so many layers to your story. And I want to give you an opportunity first to introduce yourself to our listeners.
I love it. All right, I'm going to kind of go through my bio since it was my bio is so bad on my it's not even bad. It's just very specific to something that I'm working on. So, my background is um total entrepreneur. That's just who I am. I love to do things on my own. I never dreamt of having a job. To be honest, I never even dreamt of kids. Now I do have a son who's about to turn 21, so I did go that direction. But I've always kind of done my own thing, and I've felt very comfortable when life throws me curveballs or adds extra things in to just go with it. Um, but my background hasn't necessarily created an opportunity for me to feel safe, to feel to really always I think the biggest thing is to feel safe. So doing all different things and following the guidance that I get is that's a big deal to me. Because in every time that I say yes to a pivot, I am saying that I don't need to be afraid. Which is always a challenge to that younger version of me who grew up in a very violent home, with divorce and a lot of domestic abuse, with my parents getting divorced and then my mom marrying another man who did not really want us there, to escaping what I thought was my dream life, after I met a boy, and I dated him and got married after 3 months to find out that I was just basically marrying another opportunity to leave a very unhealthy relationship. So in all of that, the big thing is that um when I really started a big part of my journey. I mean, it probably was back early on, but when I got divorced, oh man, I I thought I was going to go crazy. I mean, to be very personal, I was right before this, I was taking pills so that I could go to sleep when my son went to school. And then I would have an alarm that went off, and I would take pills to wake up. And then I would take happy pills or drink while he was there. And then I'd take pills to go to sleep at night, and I'd get him to school and I'd take pills again. And I realized in that moment that I was going to perpetuate an issue, an another unhealthy human being if I didn't get it together. So I was blessed with a divorce. I can honestly say that my divorce was the best thing that ever happened to me, but so was being married to my ex-husband, because he really opened me up to see that I did not love myself enough to expect to be loved. Kind of crazy, right? Um, so in this journey, in order to be able to survive, make things work, I did whatever it took. Oh my goodness. I don't even know if you know this, Natalie, but to keep my house initially, I rented out every room in my house to single women.
Yeah.
And so we lived with my son and I lived with all these different single women that basically made it possible for me to start my first successful business.
Yeah.
I had owned lots of other businesses, but they were all hobbies. But at this point, I had to make enough money so that I could actually keep a roof over my head and not have, 5 other women live with us. Um,
Forever.
Forever.
Yes.
What's so cool, this is one
Yes.
of the coolest things. Like I I really started pushing mindfulness, meditation,
Mm.
manifestation techniques. I got to the point that I was meditating up to 2 hours a day. So I
Beautiful.
was able to stop with the pill popping and the pill waking me ups. And I really started to, I would pray, and then I would silence myself through meditation.
Mm.
Uh, and in that, I started seeing, I started I don't know who this is that talks to me. I think it's myself. I think it's a version of myself that is my higher self.
Hmm.
But she started communicating with me, and that was pretty eye-opening. I actually was able to see who I was. Um, the voice came to me, and the voice actually became masculine in this moment. Now that's probably my own whatever, deciding that this voice was then masculine, but the voice actually presented himself as my creator. And he
Mm.
asked me if I would ever do the things that I was doing to myself to him. And I said no, I wouldn't. And I cried. I said, why would I ever? Never. And he said, let me show you who you are. And I saw him as, or her, or whatever. I'm going to go creator. I saw
Yes.
my creator of my soul um, suddenly go from light, because in these visions that I see everybody as light.
Mhm.
And this being went from light to manifesting hands.
Mm.
And the hands reached in to the light and pulled out a little ball of light
Mm.
and went like this, poof, and I became.
Mm.
Oh,
And in that moment, everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything.
wow.
And so, since then, this, whatever the voice is, or however it morphs into my life, I just listen to it. And that voice has taken me into so many different paths, so many different journeys, and just some really amazing opportunities in life. I have started many businesses since that first business that got me to keep my house, which I still live in to this day.
Hmm.
I think it's 16 years later, I still live in that same house. It is getting pretty close to being paid off at this point. You
Yes.
know, being from somebody who had to rent out rooms, it's pretty awesome.
Yes.
But I have started different businesses, and including a software company. I partner with other small businesses all over the US. I own a portion of uh, a oh my goodness, I'm going to forget, a dog kennel association.
Mm.
Um, I own a part of a an association for the tactical industry. Um, I also um, I own a consulting company where we consult small businesses. And the coolest thing and the reason I'm here is because I've started this podcast, which is all about my most recent fun little struggle, which is I just hit that other stage again. And I've kind of decided that this is never going to go away. You're going to feel lost at all different times in your life,
Mm.
because being lost is actually a sign that you need some change. It's your inner soul saying the experiences that we're having are not going to benefit us right now.
Hmm.
It's time to change.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the voice came to me and said, you're not lost, but a lot of people think they're lost. So you're going to do this journey with other people.
Yeah.
Um, and so on top of all of the businesses, I am starting a podcast. And so we've gotten the website, all of that's ready to go. And you know what? I feel like I've been talking forever, so I'm gonna hand it back to you guys and let you guys ask me some questions.
No, this is perfect, Karrie. Thank you for sharing that. I want to do a little bit of an asterisk and I'll turn it over to Pam, but I want to do a little bit of an asterisk because here's what I think oftentimes listeners, wherever you are, I want to invite folks as you share your story not to get caught up in the little voice that's going to pop up when Karrie talks about creator, insert that with whatever that means to you,
Mhm.
God, creator, source,
Mhm.
whatever that means and feels like. She
Yes.
talks about higher self, spirit guides, angels, higher self, whatever that means to you, fill that in. I think that we have gone through and labeled things and compartmentalized things so well as humans that oftentimes we lose the true meaning behind the share because we can't get past the labeling that we've assigned things. So I just want to invite all of our listeners to go there as we dive into Karrie's story.
I love it.
But a huge thing that you said is knowing that when you started to feel that uncertainty, that you just basically do an about face to say, I'm not afraid. I'm going to take this step. That is
Oh,
huge.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll sink for on some things I will sink for a moment, but I don't allow the sink to happen very long because once the sink gets a hold of me,
Mhm.
it takes too long to get out. So I allow my pity party for whatever that is, disappointment, and then this is, I actually have started to thank it.
Yeah.
Thank
Mm.
you. Thank you for this next opportunity that I'm going to have because of whatever I'm feeling, whatever happened, whatever change needs to come, whatever opportunity, whatever anything. Thank you. Thank you for
Mm.
this opportunity.
I love it. I love what you said about yes to the pivot.
Yeah.
Yes to the pivot. Heck yeah. Yes to the pivot.
That's it. That's
I
what it
love
comes
I,
down to.
I don't know what the book was that I wrote or I read, but I read a book at some point that said it was about somebody saying yes to everything for a full year.
Oh, Chandra Rimes' Year of Yes also changed my life.
Right. Oh my gosh, to that book. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's what got me okay with the pivots
Yes.
because I'm like, sweet opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see what happens. Why
Yeah.
is this coming my way?
Yeah, it's that total mindset shift at
Hmm.
looking at those, like you said, as an opportunity, not as something to be afraid of or that challenge.
Hmm.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that. So tell me a little bit about the meditation. So
Hmm.
how did you get involved in meditating and how did you go to be able to do for 2 hours? That's something I struggle with. I can do it for maybe 10 minutes. Two
Okay,
hours.
so I'm gonna be honest at this point. I do not meditate that long.
Okay.
Meditating that long when it was happening was out of pure desperation
Okay.
because I truly could not control. It was the only peace at times that I had during the day.
Yeah.
It was so ugly that to be able to go into that space and only hear my breathing or only hear water was all I could do. And that's the only reason it got so long. But how I got started, because when you have got monkey mind happening,
Hmm.
how do you slow it down for even a minute?
Right.
Hmm.
I couldn't. I couldn't at all. So I actually initially started using something called Holosync. I- And the thing that I could tell you, eh, the closest thing to it, I think right now, Holosync still exists. I can't spell it. Um, it's a certain type of beats, different beats that go into your ears
Mhm.
and change your meditative state. But because audio has come so far since, you know,
Hmm.
16 years ago, there are so many free options. And to be honest, all I did was the free version back then.
Hmm.
I got a little sample. Back then it wasn't, you had to actually have it mailed to you because what you could download was not high quality. Now even YouTube is high enough quality.
Mhm.
And what you need is those stereo headphones where you can have the different beats
Hmm.
going in each
Hmm.
ear. And so what it's doing is it's actually forcing that back and forth in your brain.
Yeah.
Some things that I learned during that process that also really helped me, and this might help other people, was I learned a lot about emotional freedom tapping, which was incredibly helpful for me.
Mhm.
But in the meditation, it was those different alternating beats in my ears.
Mm.
That was able to get me to calm my mind down initially enough that after several months, it became something that I could actually do on my own. I'm not sure exactly how long it took me. One of the other types of meditation that I did was journaling while meditating.
Mhm.
And so I would ask a question, and then without even questioning anything, I would write everything that came down.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that was incredibly helpful. And I believe I read a book on that at some point too, about meditative journaling. And I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And it took me about 30 months before it was actually automatic, where the things that were coming into my mind, I knew were not me.
Yeah.
They were, or they were the me without the filter.
Yeah.
At the very least, they were the me without the filter.
Okay. Wow.
And so I could really gain a lot of clarity
Mhm.
through that process. And I think either one of those
Mhm.
was phenomenal. I was doing them both at the same time.
Okay. 30 weeks. Wow.
Months.
No,
Months.
3 months.
30
I'm sorry.
months. Oh, 3 months.
I'm sorry.
I
30
was like,
days. 30 days.
Oh, okay.
I was
okay.
doing it
Woo. I
consistently
was
for
like,
30 days.
oh.
I had a pattern. Um I did the same things each time. I was specifically trying to create that muscle memory or the
Mhm.
equivalent of.
Mhm.
So I would light a candle. I
Yes.
would burn sage. And so I don't know if that did anything. I still
Mhm.
don't know if it did anything. But
Yeah.
what it did for me was set a pattern of getting into that state.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same with my meditating. My pattern was always to pray.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
so, and really, same thing that Natalie brought up, that doesn't need to be pray to God, pray to
Mhm.
Creator, pray to your higher self. It's just about setting intentions with whoever or whatever you can set intentions with
Mhm.
Yeah.
for what you want
I
to
love it.
come forward
Yeah.
in that. And to be honest, guys, nothing came forward for a really long time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
And
think the
with it,
commitment to the 30 days is what makes a big difference. I know The Artist's Way is a book, and they also have journal prompts that will take you through, I think it's 30, maybe 45 days of writing. And it's hard. And so, Karrie, congratulations to you, because I believe the prompt in The Artist's Way is that you write 3 pages
Mhm.
nonstop. You don't think about it, don't get into your own way, because we often do. And it's like single line college rule paper that you're writing, and you just set the timer and you write until you have 3 pages filled.
I love
Um,
it.
it's inevitable that you're going to get into that flow state that you talk about, but
Yes.
you have to allow yourself time to get there. It's not a light switch.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not going
And
to
I was
happen.
writing down the thoughts that I knew were filtered and mine. I
Yeah.
still wrote. I did not wait. I
Yes.
just wrote. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, this insane, amazing insight was coming in.
Really.
And then
Can you
what was, oh, go ahead.
can you share with us some of the insight that you do you recall? I mean, I know that going through this process, you're in that flow state, so it's
Mhm.
not you. But I'm sure coming out of those, you think, gosh, that's it. That's what I need to do. Or I've missed the mark on this, or whatever that may be. Do you
Mhm.
recall any of those sessions?
Well, I think a good way to talk about it is very similar to what would come out in paper is what started coming to me as a voice that I did not believe was mine.
Mm.
So I could ask a question. It was kind of like talking out loud. So I'll talk out loud now at this point. I love to walk and talk. That's kind of my current meditation state
Mhm.
is to walk and just talk.
Mhm.
And then I'm quiet. But I'm having these conversations. I'm sure I look like a lunatic. And I'm fine with it. I think all of my neighbors know I'm crazy at this point. At least when it comes to walking and talking, right?
And so
Um,
my neighbor probably thinks the same because I go through the same thing. Like I light the incense, I sit in the same spot, I'm drinking the tea, I'm writing in the journal. I'm
oh
sure
yeah.
they're wondering, like, here she goes again, another morning. She's out here.
I I do it in my house even. Like I
Yeah.
have where I can walk in a circle around this central wall.
Mhm.
I find myself walking in a circle constantly and talking to myself.
Yes. I
It's
love
awesome. It's
I love that.
one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Yeah.
But now, um, so different types of meditation. There's that meditation where all you're doing is you are focusing on your breath or you're focusing on a sound. To me, I believe it's really important that you focus on something because you should never, if you quiet, I don't like to leave my body. I don't want to leave my body when I meditate. I
Mhm.
want to be attached and grounded to this life, this me, this
Mhm.
moment, because that's what I'm looking for insight on.
Mm.
So I concentrate on breath. Now, as I progress through either the journaling or the meditation where I am communicating with myself,
Mhm.
I will quiet my mind down. And then once I feel like my mind is quiet and I feel almost floaty in a way,
Mhm.
um, that's where I can start asking myself questions, um, or asking questions.
Mm.
And so I honestly, I think I was just venting, when I heard the voice say, "You're not alone," or "You're not lost."
Mm.
Um, so I was just talking and saying, "Man, I feel so lost. Like
Yeah.
I am struggling to find my path again." And I always like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy the last time. It
Mm.
seems like it's really difficult for a little while. Like you're
Mm.
so in it. Does that make sense? You're so
Mhm.
in it
Yeah.
that you can't get out of it. And so I will talk about that. I am so in this. I feel so lost. Um, and the voice, it felt like the voice was like not, I didn't feel a tapping sensation, but the voice was like, "What? You're not lost. You're not lost." And
Mm.
it kept saying, "But you're not lost. But you're not lost."
Mm.
Uh, and asking what do you mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, you just need to change. Lots of people need to change right now. You're hitting
Mhm.
midlife. You need a change. It's time.
Mm.
And the voice told me, "You knew this was coming. You
Mhm.
talked about it for the last year and a half. You knew this
Mm.
was coming.
Mhm.
Here, it's
Yeah.
time. You're not lost."
Mm.
Um,
At this moment, Carrie, are you, and again, because I know you, so I'm going to ask this question. It's kind of loaded. You're talking about every area of life, professionally, personally, family,
I
career,
am.
financial, health and wellness, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's a reset time for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I love I don't know if you guys have ever heard of human design.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
type, yeah, so it's so,
Mhm.
so in case any listeners don't know, it's a type of, I would say, astrology combined with almost like this personality type of thing.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And so I am hitting um a major transit when it comes to what they believe in human design. And
Hmm.
so it actually makes sense. And I knew it was coming up and I felt it. I felt it like it was, man, honestly, I'm gonna say looking down the barrel of a gun. I knew it was coming and I knew it was gonna hit hard.
Mm.
Um, and to be honest, I also know what I did to trigger it to come on.
Mm.
I threw the grenade that blew up my life. I know I did.
Mm.
I ended a, gosh, how long were we in a relationship? I ended a 10 and a half year long relationship.
Hmm.
Wow.
Um, because I felt like I wanted to run away every day. I felt like I only worked to support this man and his kids. I felt like I
Mm.
had really switched a lot of things in my life around. Like I had given up so many things to keep the situation I was in okay. And I could see, wow, my son was going to be he had already turned 18, you know?
Mm.
There was going to be a time like I didn't have to be mom anymore.
Mhm.
Once I threw that grenade, I didn't have to be a significant other anymore. I didn't have to be a step parent anymore. I have created a business for myself where I can be anywhere in the world.
Mm.
And I tried to do some little things in between, and I realized that didn't make me happy either. What the heck? I need to find this new path.
Mhm.
But finding a new path and being lost are two different things.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.